First off, I want to thank everybody for coming in this evening, this afternoon, I should say, and excited about year two. With that, let's get started.
With the two deep in front of me, were there particular positions or what were the ones that struck you as the toughest decisions to make or biggest surprise along those lines?
That's a good question. There's great competition in the back end at the safety position, with Jamari being out indefinitely. Our prayers are with him and a speedy recovery. We've had some guys that play a lot of football there. McBride kid, Wade, Fred Garth. Ben Hale's back from injury, so that's probably still a work in progress. All four of those guys will probably get some time Saturday, and then we'll make that decision after a couple games.
Will you talk a little bit about the offensive line? I know that was a concern coming in. Were there surprises there?
No, not too many. Not too many. We felt good about the first 6, 7 guys up front. All those guys have had some game experience and they're pretty good football players. Depth is a little bit of an issue. We've got some guys that are unproven in some of those backup roles. So, we're going to continue to push reps their way as we work through the work week, and we'll see how it goes.
On the depth chart at quarterback, you have Loy and Daggy. Can you kind of talk a little bit about the or situation you have there?
I can. Grant Loy redshirted last year. Daggy has a red shirt available. If we get through the season with the starter staying healthy, we'd like to redshirt the kid. He's competed very well throughout. He got here early, arrived in the spring, throughout spring and fall camp, and really it's too close to tell right now which one we would put in if we had to, play without James. So to answer it the best way I can answer it is this: that James Morgan's our starter. If he were to go down to injury, we would reevaluate the situation.
Okay, but if you're just putting a backup in to replace him,
it'll be Loy.
It would be Loy.
How much does it help that you guys have had a little experience playing on these big stages at Ohio State, things like that?
Well, it helps when you've had success playing on those stages. But again, those guys were thrown into the fire last year before they were ready, to be honest with you. And it will help. There's a different confidence, not only the players, let's be honest about it, coaches as well. That was my first game as a head coach, and a lot of the guys on the staff, their first time in those type of environments. So, like I've said all camp long, at peace and excited about who we are and what this team has the potential of accomplishing.
We see none of those guys like to go play in those games, at the big stadiums. What I guess is the excitement level for you guys and the players to go to Northwestern, Michigan State, those kind of places?
Really, last year was a buzz. It was a buzz in the locker room. I think everybody was excited and anxious about going down and playing Ohio State. It's been a little different feel, Thomas, this year, to be honest with you. It's about business, man. And it's a very prideful unit, and they realize that our job is not to just go down there and show up, but to represent this university. We didn't do that at the level that we would have liked to in those situations last year. So I think they're kind of chomping at the bits for this opportunity.
And what are you looking at? What are you looking for from Michigan State this weekend?
They're going to be sound. They're not going to beat themselves. One of the things that we've got to do is we've got to tackle well defensively. Scott and Holmes are two pretty good running backs that like to get downhill. We tackle well and we don't turn the ball over, we'll have our chances.
What's kind of, the general feeling on these guaranteed games? And then especially having multiple ones.
Good question. That's just we're no different than anybody else in the MAC. And that's if you go and you look at everybody's schedules, I think most of us have got 2, some 3 guaranteed games in a season, and that's not going anywhere. That's not going to change anytime soon for anybody. So you embrace it. You know, I mean, what we've tried to do, we've tried to use it as a recruiting tool and been successful at that. And, you know, at the end of the day, all we can focus on and worry about is what we can control. So it's here to stay. It's not going anywhere.
What was the best thing that you guys accomplished in the preseason?
Well, we stayed relatively injury free. You know what I mean? And we got after really good last spring, and we kind of brought that same mindset into fall camp for those first couple of weeks. And you know, we were able to stay healthy, and we were able to evaluate a ton of young kids and get an idea of you know, where we wanted to be as far as the 2 deep goes.
What's the difference between going into game 1 of year 2 than game 1 of last year, per se?
No, confidence. I think confidence, you know, trust more so than anything else. Player to coach, coach to player. That's huge. And those two things kind of, they play hand in hand. So again, you know, finishing the year the way we did in 2016 and building on that with a strong recruiting class and getting a lot of guys back from injuries. I mean, the Ben Hells we talked about earlier, Jack Walls. I mean, those are all guys that have played in big games for our university, and you know, they're back, and you know that's exciting. I look forward to seeing those guys on the football field.
You guys finished strong, obviously, last year. I think you would say a little bit more of a commitment to the running game in those 3 victories, but you didn't have the recruiting class and some of the guys on last year's roster that you now have this year. Will the schemes change because of the new personnel, or do you think it's going to be a continuation?
I think we kind of established an identity of who we want to be. The talent level is different. We had a strong recruiting class, and again, we got a ton of guys back. Andrew, Matt Domer, Bryson Denley. These guys are explosive football players, and they'll help us. But you know, what we want to do is we want to control the game. You know, and we want our offense, defense, special teams, those units to play as one. And a lot of that has to do sometimes with how you manage a game and how you call it. We're going to commit to the run. We want to be able to run the football. We want to be a physical football team. But at the same time, you know, especially going into this week's game, we've got to be aggressive with that play calling. And when we get one-on-one matchups, we got to go after them. And we got to make plays. And we feel like we've got some guys in place that are capable of doing those.
When you play a team like Michigan State, Coach, it's had some widely reported challenges with their personnel in the offseason. What kind of challenges that present you when you're scouting the program?
Well, you don't know who's going to be there and who's not. You know what I mean? Because, you know, again, Michigan State's not going to beat themselves. They're going to do what they do offensively and defensively. You know, they hadn't changed a ton over the last few years. Coach Antonio is a great coach. So what you try to do when you go through a scouting report is try to ID personnel, matchups, things of that nature. So that on that part can be a little bit tough. But we know where they're going to be. We know where they're going to line up. It's not going to be a big secret. So we just got to go play ball.
The program's had some success, not with wins, but certainly playing very competitively. The 2 times they've been up there before. Does that come up in the conversation at all for this game, or that's all?
No, really, right now, man, we're focusing on ourselves. You know, I mean, we're doing all the things that we need to do in order to give ourselves the best opportunity to go up there and come back home with the W. You know, and that's kind of where I want their head to be. You know, I mean, no disrespect to Michigan State, they're an ex-opponent, and all we can do is worry about the things that we can control. I think at times last year we started listening to the outside noise a little bit, and didn't bowl very well for us. So, tunnel vision, stay focused, and 1 week at a time.
As I look at the 2 deep, I see 2 freshmen on defense in Darius Wortham and Colby Coleman. First of all, will there be other freshmen you think will play seat time defensively?
Probably. Josh Crosland will probably be one of the first ones to play. I think, you know, the Wortham kid, we're going to carry him with moving Milton to safety and getting some safety reps. So that was what factored into that decision. And the Colby Coleman kid, we really want to redshirt him, but he's not going to let us. He's a very unique talent, you know, so he'll be involved and we'll be in the mix early on.
When you mentioned Wortham and Milton, was it Wortham's ability to step in that allowed you to move Milton? Is that what you're saying?
Well, you know, we want to carry 5 to 6 corners, okay, and really Darius and Ty were kind of, you know, competing for that 5th and 6th spot, you know, with Milton being there. You know, with the situation that we have right now in safety, you know, Marcus Milton's one of the most talented kids we have on our program. You know, you're talking about a kid that can run a 4.4 vertical 40 inches. That's pretty explosive. So what we want to do, and what all coaches want to do, is get their most gifted players on the football field. So with some of our with Bosey's injury, we felt like moving Marcus to safety maybe will play out well for us here as we go through the season.
Have you named captains for this year?
We have not.
What's your plan for captains?
Well, we'll tackle that this week. You know, we gotta have a senior council, and that as far as captains, game captains, things of that nature, I've always liked. I felt like each senior should have the opportunity to go out and be a captain for a week. So that's kind of how we'll handle that. It'll be a different group every week. We'll be the seniors.
I'm assuming you heard the news about Paul Haynes at Kent State yesterday. What was your reaction to that?
Well, my thoughts and prayers go out to him and his family. And it's kind of put things in perspective a little bit. You know, it's while we all love football, it's just a game. You know what I mean? There's some things out there that are more important. You know, again, just praying for him, praying for his family.
Can you talk about trying to find that balance that doesn't take you too far and hurt your health, as opposed to doing enough to win football games?
Yeah, I can. I think that, you know, you got to love what you do, first and foremost. And I think most of us ball coaches do. I mean, at the end of the day, you got to keep things in perspective. I mean, they pay us well to come out here and coach a kid's game, man. This is, you know, as long as you keep that in the back of your head, and you know, again, I don't really know what to say. I know I'm blessed and fortunate for the opportunity to have this job, and there are a lot of people out there, man, that are really suffering and they're really going through it. So I don't even feel right even answering that question, because I mean, I'm a ball coach, and I'm compensated well to be a ball coach, and I couldn't see myself doing anything else. So, you know, it's a tough question for me to answer there. I don't see it that way.